Imagine telling a story for 2,000 years and it slowly becomes a myth. The echo effect. What if the Greek gods were real people? We tend to think mythology is imagination, stories created to explain storms, the sea, the sky, the unknown. But what if that's only part of the story? What if mythology is what happens when memory outlives history? Because the further back we look, the fewer records we find and the more stories we discover. And stories don't stay still. They change, they grow, they echo. Sometimes they become more powerful than the truth itself. It comes from looking closer, because long before history was written down, people were already shaping it. Not through accuracy, but through memory. Not through records, but through stories. This is the echo effect, where the present is subtly shaped by the past, and today, that echo belongs to something we've never truly outgrown. The way we remember people, and what they become when memory lasts longer than truth. Before history was written, it was spoken. Before books, there were stories. Before certainty, there was memory. And memory is imperfect. Each generation remembers a little differently. A detail grows, a victory becomes greater, a flaw quietly disappears. Not because anyone intends to change the story, but because that's what stories do. They evolve. Now imagine that happening, not for decades, but for centuries. A respected king becomes a great warrior. A great warrior becomes unbeatable. An unbeatable warrior becomes chosen by the gods, until eventually, no one remembers the man anymore. Only the legend. Take Zeus. Today he is the ruler of Olympus, the god of lightning, father of gods and men. But what if he began as something far more human? A powerful king, a tribal leader, the father of a clan, whose influence refused to fade. Perhaps he united rival peoples. Perhaps his victories seemed impossible. Perhaps his descendants kept telling his story long after he was gone. And slowly, the story began to change. A man who fought with the fury of a storm became a man who commanded the storms. The greatest of rulers became the ruler of the heavens. And somewhere along the way, the man disappeared. Only the god remained. It sounds like a modern thought experiment, but it's more than 2,000 years old. A Greek writer named Euhemerism suggested that many gods may once have been real rulers, heroes, or clan leaders, whose lives slowly became mythology. His idea became known as Euhemerism, not proof, not certainty, just one possible explanation for how stories change over time. But here's what makes the idea so fascinating. Sometimes, stories preserve more truth than we first imagine. Archaeology has surprised us before. Cities once thought to exist only in legend, like Troy, were eventually found. Ancient conflicts once dismissed as myth have revealed real historical foundations. That doesn't prove Zeus existed, or Poseidon, or Athena, but it reminds us of something important. Sometimes legend grows around something real, like a pearl forming around a grain of sand. If that happened once, could it have happened again? Could Poseidon have once been a ruler whose fleet dominated the sea until mastery of the oceans became command over them? Could Ares have begun as a warrior so feared that later generations could no longer believe he had been merely human? Could Athena have been inspired by a queen, a philosopher, or an advisor whose wisdom became something divine? Maybe, or maybe not. The truth, if it ever existed, may simply be lost to time. The Greeks weren't alone. Across the ancient world, the same pattern appears. The Norse remembered extraordinary ancestors. The Egyptians elevated their rulers into divine figures. The Romans honoured founders whose lives became legend. The Mesopotamians preserved kings whose stories grew far beyond history. Almost every civilization remembered extraordinary people in extraordinary ways. Perhaps That's simply what humans do. So, were the Greek gods once real people? We may never know. And perhaps that isn't the most interesting question. Perhaps the better question is this: how many myths began with a memory? Because stories don't simply survive. They evolve, they grow, they transform. Until one day, we forget where history ends and mythology begins. Because sometimes, history doesn't disappear. It echoes. And eventually, we stop calling it history and start calling it mythology. That is the echo effect, where the present is subtly shaped by the past. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe, because every legend has a beginning.